Alright, hi, I'm Joshua Kemble, and this is my Vloggins. This is the vlog where I talk about my creative process and my own creative projects that I do on top of being a full-time art director, graphic designer, and illustrator. And that's where I'm heading on these vlogs, if you're ever curious. Where are you driving all the time? I'm driving to where I work as a full-time art director, and I'm talking about hopefully my plans and stuff like that are going to have to do with like how I'm going to balance doing my second graphic novel and other such creative projects. So what's my graphic novel? 2 stories. Book 1 is a graphic novel about faith and mental illness that I handwrite, hand letter, and hand ink, and you can pick up and hold in your own hands from Amazon Prime. Also, you can go to your LCS, your local comic shop, and request that they order a copy of it from Ingram, or basically order it online at any book retailer. But your best bet, best bang for your buck, the lowest cost investment for you to get a copy of it would be to go to Amazon. If you have Prime, you get free shipping, and right now they have the cost per book like discounted to like the cost of a cup of coffee, which is, well, a little over what you'd pay for like a Starbucks. I guess a Starbucks in Los Angeles for a Frappuccino or something. So anyhow, it's a good deal. I'm not sure how long it's going to last, so I'm pointing people there because, hey, why not? Okay, so yesterday we did the indie review show. We did an after party, and I'm making pretty good progress on the book. As I mentioned yesterday on my vlog, I'm about a third through the book. I finished doing rough pencils and thumbnails, and now I'm on a phase where I'm taking those and doing the lettering and panel borders digitally first, and that's the second phase of my process. And so I got through 4 pages of that yesterday, which actually only will include 2 pages of actual roughs, because of the fact that when I'm doing this process, it's going to include all the different chapter breaks. I use title chapters and actually even a section like part 1 and part 2. I have section pages too, so that it kind of flows as a story, more like a novel. And that has some thinking behind it. One of the things I like about a book, like a novel in general, that I don't see often done with graphic novels, although I do occasionally, not enough, is books tend to have like chapters and sections and like nice areas that you can rest between parts of the story. And the way that my comic is broken up, it works really well, I think, for the reader's experience to have those tools as well. So anyhow, it's looking like so far I'm gonna average probably about 4 of those a night, which should get us in shape in a fairly short amount of time, depending on how complex the lettering is. And anybody familiar with my work, you'll know like the lettering can vary from like a sort of page that has a lot of text, but not like a ton of like really highly custom lettering, to like full-blown custom lettering. So it really depends on the page, but in general I think I'll be able to average about 4 pages a day. And keep in mind, this isn't drawing comics. This is just doing the panel borders and the type for each page based on the roughs. The reason I do that after my thumbnails and roughs is the nice thing about thumbnails and roughs is they give you a rough idea, a pretty good idea actually, of like what space you need for type and where your type placement should go. And so that's stage 2. and that's where we're at, and I'm pretty excited. So now I'm on page 4 of that. I'm not really sure. I like to post my progress daily on Instagram, but with that, I'm not really sure exactly how I should do that. I was debating whether to do Long Beach Comic-Con or LA Comic-Con, and it seems like the Los Angeles Comic-Con might be the best bet. And so I think I'm going to try to register for that tonight, or at least by the end of the week. It is a little pricey for a table, and not like hugely pricey, but it's enough of an expense that I should probably check it with my wife and make sure we're okay with doing that. And just getting like an Artist Alley table. I think I'd easily make that back. But still worth still worth checking. So that's happening. What else? I'm pretty pumped about the Pulp Fiction signing in Long Beach. That should be really cool. I think that's on the 14th. I need to double check that so that I can give people accurate information. But it's in July on a Wednesday. And if the 14th ends up being a Wednesday, I think that would be the date. But I need to double check just to make sure I'm giving you guys accurate information. But I should be in the Long Beach area around then, signing books, selling copies of 2 stories in my first comic book, Numb. And so, which by the way, I barely ever mentioned that, but you can get Numb if you look on Etsy for Numb. You might find yourself stumbling upon copies of Numb, which might be fun to read. It's just a thing to consider. Okay, so all that out of the way, what else do we got? I am in a pretty positive space right now. It was really hot. Like yesterday, I was talking about a couple goals that I wasn't able to hit. One of them was I started biking because in my view, like I've never been like a big fanatic for exercise or like gyms or anything like that. Like I've been a geek my whole life who kind of avoided that like the plague. And I used to actually look down on it, which was foolish and dumb, kind of youthful snobbery, right? Like I don't know why I had that hang up as a kid. But anyhow, as I've gotten older, I've started realizing like your health affects your mental health, right? And it affects your output, like your creative output. And so it's really important to try to kind of like if you can to have some exercise so you get those endorphins, you don't feel bummed and depressed all the time. And also it helps like stave off like massive things that, you know, are like I used to get all the time, like back aches and neck aches and like all sorts of aches and pains that just kind of magically go away because I'm being active and I'm working my muscles so that I have some muscle to handle like the stresses of daily life. And so anyhow, something I've added, so for a couple years now I've been doing rowing, like a rowing machine, and then just like, you know, some very basic like free weights, which I added on. And now I'm adding on another thing, which is biking, which is really good and very cool, and works my legs a lot more as well as my heart, right? It's really good for my heart. But yesterday I got home, I was all eager in the morning. I was like, yeah, maybe I can do my biking and get a little further. The last distance I was able to go was like 3.25 miles, which is not a good distance on a bike, but I mean, it's been a long time since I biked, and the first time I did it, I could only get like 1.5 miles. So I felt better about getting, you know, 3 miles was a little bit better. And then 3.25 was nice, and I was looking forward to kind of expanding that and like getting a little better at the biking thing. And then it was 108 when I got home, so I was like, well, that's not going to happen. And a lot of people recommend that if you're gonna bike, you should do it early in the morning when things are cool. Problem is, I hate mornings. I'm not a morning person. I don't do well in mornings. I, by nature, am like a real late night owl. And so that's just not gonna work. So I'm hoping today when I get home, if it's under 100 degrees, I'll do my bike. If it's over 100, like yesterday, because it was 108, there was like a literal warning from the state of California saying like don't do outdoor activities because you could die. And so I mean, like, once again, the goal of this is for physical health and fitness, and so like it would be a little counterintuitive for me to have gone biking that day, being like, yeah, I think I'll just get a heat stroke and not last throughout the day. So that's the last thing I want. But if it's like reasonable, which it seems like it might be today, and it's under like 100 degrees, I'm totally gonna do my biking today. If not, I'll just default to my rowing exercise and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, so that's another thing on the dock that I need to think about. But I'm pretty excited about the prospect of doing a big convention, and I think like LA Comic-Con I think is in December, so that would buy me enough time to kind of prep, get ready, and it also has the convenience of, I think it's not within the show season at my work, because there's certain periods at my own day job where there's just not going to be a lot of time off, reasonably so, because we're just, we need all hands on deck. We're like, having to be in our best productivity of the entire year. And it all kind of hinges on like a few specific months of the year. So that was another downside of like Long Beach, was although it was on just 2 days of the weekend, it fell at a time that was just like super inconvenient for getting time off. So anyhow, I'm excited. I need to kind of keep that in mind by the end of the day. Today, it might be a good idea for me to apply so that I have time to hopefully get in and get a table. So that's that. That would be my first comic convention in a while, in a long time, and it would be really fun to do. So I'm kind of excited about that as a prospect and as something to potentially do. And I'm also really excited about the upcoming book signing at Pulp Fiction in Long Beach. That's going to be really awesome too. So if you're in like LA, you can also go to my website and look at events on my website, and that'll tell you all my upcoming signings or convention appearances and stuff like that, which I'm hoping to kind of book up more and more as time progresses on. So yeah, so there's all that funness. All right. Oh yeah, and then there's one more update to give, because I've been trying to be public about this whole journey of seeking to get assessed for autism. And my autism appointment that was set for the 20th of this month was again pushed by my insurance company. So this is about the 5th time they've misbooked me with the wrong people, and then had to course correct. And so it sounds like it's actually not going to happen until August, mid-August, which is awfully irritating, because that happens to be about the time that that actually overlaps pretty heavily with the time where I will have to be at rush season at my day job, which is not fun. So I'm trying to see if there's anything I can do, because I've been pushed and it's been mismanaged so often, to kind of try to maybe get an earlier appointment so that it's possible. But it's looking like I'm just going to have to wait another few months, which means a process that I started 7 months ago that should have really honestly taken like a month is now going to take about 9 months total from day one. So I will tell you guys, like, if you're out there and you think you're an adult with like high functioning autism, be prepared for your insurance company to just suck, like, and have like no idea how to handle it, or how to even go about it. It's just been a long, ridiculous process. And honestly, it's like something I really want to know for myself, to answer some questions, to learn more about myself and become a better human being. But it's a headache, man. It's a headache, and I can see why people avoid doing it, because, to be honest, I just don't think we have the systems in place to properly handle it. So yeah, that's all the fun stuff. That's all the updates and things that I need to think about. So my goal tonight is, well, actually, I forgot. Okay, so the biking might be off the table because we have Bible study tonight. But I definitely want to try to do about 4 pages, unless it's a really complicated page, of panel borders and type, so that I can kind of retain that and get that part knocked out. But also, obviously, do it with like care and intelligence and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's what's on my dock. That's what I'm thinking of, things I need to do. And then booking LA Comic-Con would be really great too, or at least applying for it, putting in the deposit and stuff. So yeah, so that's what's on my mind. I wonder what you guys are doing as things are opening up, you know, after COVID and stuff like that. Like, do you guys look forward to doing conventions? Are you guys planning on doing conventions? Those of you who are vaccinated and stuff. I'm just kind of curious how everybody's approaching that. I can also understand with like hesitancy how people want to, you know, be really cautious and careful in a scenario like that. I feel like I've read the science, a lot of the science on it, and it seems like, you know, being vaccinated, I'm pretty protected for that kind of scenario. But I mean, I can understand too, after the crazy runaround we've been going through as a country and just as people, as a world, dealing with like a mass pandemic, people who might feel hesitant to kind of show up to an event like that. That's another thing. It's a bit more of a gamble to get a booth this year because who knows how many people will show up. I'm kind of banking on the idea that a lot of people are going to want to get out and do events, because they've been cooped up in a house for a long time. And then I'm also hoping that by then they'll have a solid vaccine out for kids as well. So that, like, hopefully, like, you know, it's a packed convention. We'll kind of have to see how that plays out. Yeah, so that'll pretty much do it. If you guys haven't yet, obviously hit subscribe, hit that bell, and you know, choose to like get notifications however you want when my show's about to go live. Quite often I'll do live streams when I'm working, and I'm going to try to do that as I'm working on these panel borders and type part of this whole thing, which is mostly done in Adobe Illustrator at this phase of the graphic novel. And basically, yeah, and then of course, you know, like and comment in the comments section. I appreciate everybody who's following me, and I hope that update was informative and good for you. And I hope you guys are out there having a really good creative week. And I will see you on the next Vloggins, or on the next live stream, which might be tonight. Who knows? All right, bye.